Nick,
So
we're
I see that we
live.
went live. And then there was just an awkward silence as we both looked at each other and went, what now?
Well, I was looking longingly. I don't know about you.
Robert Attrell, Nick Maddox, discussing contemporary Canadiana, Ottawa, Calgary. This is East Meets West.
You should do movie trailers. I'm sure you've heard that at least once before, but it's true.
Yeah, no, we should make the David Nona story trailer.
We should. You,
Yeah, if only the creative lead would get off his ass and actually do something about it.
yeah, you really seem to hate the term creative lead. I don't know
Ah,
why.
responsibility for creative tasks. Ah,
Yeah. So that may
yeah.
never
If I could
happen,
just
but
be louder directly into the mic, I'm sure that would really help you.
it does actually. Yeah, it helps. It helps my process to have a really loud marker to put everything else against.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I could be there to help you, Rob.
It's very helpful. We're doing this episode they're doing this show again only a week later after the last one. Mostly because our future chat co-host is indisposed this week.
Yeah, something about family.
Yeah, responsibility.
To quote Monty Burns, friends, family, religion. These are the demons you must slay to be successful in life.
I think we've heard that on the show before.
I can't imagine that we have not.
Yeah. But so here we are. We're doing your show again, and given the fact that it's only been a week, and I don't think we've ever done it with this little lead time, except maybe the election one.
Yeah, the election one, we just pounded it right out.
Yeah. This one is very short, so I'm surprised that we have as much to talk about. But I guess there's stuff left over. We could always just turn on mics and talk.
Clearly.
Next week?
Would you believe that there are always happenings in a nation like Canada?
Always, yeah. Next week or whenever in 2 weeks, I guess, when we get back and do future chat, we should turn on Mike and do something evil.
He might listen to this podcast in the interim period.
Like, wouldn't be a surprise, I guess. I don't need it to be a surprise. I just think it's a fun play on words.
Wait, I missed the play on words. What's happening?
I said we could, even if there's only a week in between shows, we could turn on mics and talk. And then I said we could turn on Mike and do something evil. Yes.
Right. Okay, so this is my first coffee of the day that I'm looking at right now. And it's only halfway down.
Yeah.
And so that's the situation there.
That's where we are. Yeah.
I started drinking it like half an hour ago too. So it's not even, nothing's happening yet.
Of course.
The effects are purely psychosomatic because I'm so happy that I'm drinking coffee.
That's fine with me. I choose not to indulge in that beverage, but I don't hold it against people who do that.
Brief note, this episode brought to you by Second Cup, because I'm on the Second Cup rewards program, which I think they actually scooped Starbucks on. They came out with an app and a rewards program like a week or two before Starbucks did. Wow. So I'm not sure whether they got wind of Starbucks doing something and then did it themselves or what happened, but this for 500 points you can get a cup of coffee, or for 1,000 points you can get a bag of beans. And so, I mean, that seemed obvious to me.
Now, Nick, does this rewards program also entitle you to shares in Second Cup?
No, I bought those independently.
Just disclosing that our sponsors are
there are very few opportunities for stock options with reward programs.
That would be good though. I'd have to think, if you're trying to get people to buy shares.
Although, on the note of owning those shares, this is probably the best time to buy because they are so they are so low right now.
But you're holding out hope.
Yeah, I'm going to I've got, what do we think? 50 years of life left, so I'm just going to let inflation take care of that one.
Makes sense. Do you think you'll ever
Yeah.
get to the third cup, or they will ever get to the third cup?
Uh well, I mean, there's always time for a second cup if you're counting the one you're having as your first cup.
Yeah. Nick, I think we should leave that train of thought behind and follow up on
Can
some
I
stuff from
can
last.
I can I tell you the story of this particular coffee though?
This one that you
'Cause
have right now?
yeah, cuz the second cup that I frequent in Core, which I'm actually a little upset about as a shareholder because I'm
Okay.
looking at that store and going, "Huh, that's interesting. That's some interesting ideas you got for running a business here." Like their selection is not very good.
Okay.
And for the longest time the staff was they kind of just I found them a little bit irksome because they'd constantly be asking me like, "Oh, do you want room for cream?" No, I never want room for cream, especially in a dark roast. And then they proceed to give me the thing like with a good centimeter or two of room at the top of the cup, and I'm like, "Huh? How low are you filling these cups? What incentive do people have to come here?" So, yeah. They also have hot chocolate cookies now, which are quite nice.
That. What's different about it than just a regular chocolate cookie?
I guess they take like their hot chocolate mix and they get that in the cookie somehow. Some
Okay.
sort of baking process.
All right.
It's tasty, but I found mine was a little overdone. It depends on what consistency you want in a cookie, I suppose.
I guess, yeah.
I prefer a
consistency?
chewier cookie.
Yeah. Okay. I can't think of anyone who wants a drier cookie. Everyone wants it to be soft and chewy.
I don't know. No, I do know some people who prefer they prefer it actually to crunch. They want a crunchy cookie.
Maybe on the very outside. Maybe.
No, that it's crunchy all the way through. And they like throw in extra bits to get it a little crunchier.
Okay.
They exist. That's what I'm saying.
strange, but
I've also had their homemade cookies and they're very good.
okay. Okay. I'm not gonna step on any toes here.
Please don't, because they might give me more cookies.
I would hope so, especially after hearing this endorsement.
I know, right?
Nick, let's do some follow up from last week.
Oh wait, no. Sorry,
More
I
cookies.
forgot the point of that story. I'm glad this is my show.
Yes.
Yeah, so they didn't actually have any of the dark roast beans that I like at this location of Second Cup. Like they have them where you can get them for an exorbitant price because they pack them right there in front of you. But you can only, with the rewards program, you only get the prepackaged beans, and they never had them. But I managed to find the prepackaged ones when we were in Banff because of course the one in Banff would have it.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you have, a really solid selection in Calgary downtown when, mega city Banff could stock up? And, who needs to stock up in Calgary when you have the stock in Banff?
Well, Nick, the thing is, Banff is a tourist town. Everyone that comes there is going to want to buy something that's prepackaged that they can just take with them as they continue either through the mountains, through to Vancouver, or make their return to Calgary. They're going to want some cookies to go. And in Calgary downtown, you're just not going to get that. They want kale, they want yogurt, they want yoga. You're not going to get people wanting to take prepackaged cookies.
There are actually a lot of yoga studios around the apartment here.
Mm-hmm.
But no, sorry, prepackaged beans rather. It's
Oh.
prepackaged beans. Because I mean,
Can't explain.
well, I mean, in Banff, you know, everyone brings their own coffee maker, and
Yes.
in Calgary, they just, you know, you're downtown Calgary. You need you need to grab the coffee and go.
Right.
The brewed coffee or something.
I guess. Yeah. But
God.
that's the only thing I can think of is that it's in Banff. It's touristy. People want to buy something, whereas in Calgary, there's not enough storage space to store all these prepackaged bags of beans. And so
Yeah,
they
because
just
it's
can't.
not like on the little rack where they display the coffee beans. It's not like there's a couple empty racks on the one in Calgary downtown.
I don't think there are.
No,
Having
that's
not been there,
just
I,
crazy, crazy talk. Yeah. All right. Now I think we can move on. I
wonderful.
think you have some job follow up.
I do have job follow up, and it's actually happy follow up. I could have jinxed myself if I believed in that being possible by pre-discussing job possibilities on the show last week,
Hmm.
and getting your brainstorming help. But I did not. It turns out I'm going to be able to work full time. I got the job at NSERC that I've been talking about.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I'm going to be starting on the 17th of February, and
Ooh.
and that means that I get to continue for the next week writing for Mobile Syrup and onwards, as we had talked about, part time, including some actual weekend reporting coming up. We had talked about on Future Chat a couple weeks ago about Mobile World Congress, and turns out Mobile Syrup is going to be sending a delegation to Barcelona, and so nobody's going to be there to write about it. And so I'm gonna help them out and write some on that weekend.
Solid. We're going to Barcelona. Can you stay home?
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to go to Barcelona, but I don't. If I was going to go, I'd want to go to see the sites first, and then if I was going to Barcelona to see phones, I wouldn't. That wouldn't be as fun as having already seen the sites and all that.
I feel like Mike would make a better employee for them than you would.
No. Well, okay. In that particular instance, I would love to go to an Apple event. I just don't want to go see every phone that isn't an iPhone. It just doesn't have the same appeal to me. So in that regard, maybe he would make a better employee. He's more well-rounded.
I'm just saying, like from the notes in Future Chat,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Mike would like to go to Mobile World Congress before seeing the sites in Barcelona.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm not saying that I will. In the end, if I had been to Mobile World Congress and I had already seen the sites of Barcelona, I would rather go to a second Mobile World Congress. But having not been to Barcelona at all, I would rather go to see the sites first and then go to see a Mobile World Congress. Does that make any sense? Now, I don't think you're judging me. I think you're just frozen.
It was a little garbled because I was getting frozen there, but
Yeah.
but I see you now, and you know, you appear to be at a lower bandwidth, but at least I can see you. I'm just
Makes
gonna
sense.
make sure my phone's off Wi-Fi, so you know, there's nothing happening there either.
I don't think it's my internet.
I don't think it is either.
But yeah, Barcelona, lovely this time of year, I hear.
And you have two jobs. You're the hardest working candy in town.
Well, right now I'm working at less than one job, and I will be at slightly more than one job when I'm doing part-time, a few hours a week, Mobile Syrup.
That's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's also a reference to a Halls commercial from a long time ago that nobody seems to remember.
No, I certainly don't remember it.
It was the long and short was they came out with these candies that tasted really good, but they were also cough remedies.
Okay.
And so it was like this guy with this heavy Jamaican accent that was saying, "I got two jobs. I'm the hardest working candy in town."
I do remember that.
Yeah, so anytime someone says I have two jobs, it's the hardest working candy in town, just, waiting, biding my time until the moment when somebody actually understands that reference.
You'd have to say it in the voice, I think. Then I'd be much more likely to get it. Because as soon as you said it in the voice, I got it.
Fair enough. Yeah, okay.
You would get even weirder looks from people who hadn't seen the commercial, but
Maybe that one's on.
totally, Nick. Now you're even
Me.
more frozen. You probably need a bandwidth limiter of some kind.
I'll take that. Oh, there goes.
Totally.
Yeah, there it is. Am I experiencing difficulties? I should check my connectivity.
I can see that.
Spoiler alert. That's just how it's.
Do you want to try that voice only thing again? Or maybe if I try the voice only thing, although I don't think that would really help.
Is that happening? How we doing?
That's better.
Okay. So, how do you feel about our having followed up on your job information?
I feel good. I'll have a lot more to say once I actually start working, but the job title is quite interesting, and it's probably the most professional sounding job title I've had. I will be a reporting and performance management officer.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
From the sound of it alone.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to starting and looking forward to, putting the best foot forward and hopefully turning this into something permanent. Right now it's a 6-month contract, but yeah.
Fantastic, Rob.
Absolutely. Nick,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about the biggest news in your life in the last week?
Oh, let me tell you, Rob. In terms of follow-up, the Leafs have revealed their new logo for their centennial year.
It's true.
And again, I'm saying centennial year because we don't count the Toronto team from the National Hockey Association because everyone packed up their toys and went home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Leafs have unveiled their new logo. Have you seen this new logo?
I saw it, yes. And
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Listeners should feel free to just Google the term Leafs new logo, and there are tons of stories about it.
Yeah,
it is very easy to find information.
I'll put one link, but there's tons of information if you just Google it too.
Okay. But it is very close to my favorite, one of my favorite Leafs logos of all time.
Yeah.
I really like the first one they went with that they wore at the Winter Classic.
Mm-hmm.
And my next favorite is the design that this is basically based upon.
Okay.
I actually have a sweater with a leaf of that design, and I am tremendously fond of it.
The old design, not this current design, like the old one that this is shaped like.
Yeah, the old one. Because, I mean, honestly, the current one it's always just been fine. And I've always really liked the old ones better.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why they made the one that they used for 1967 when Canada unveiled its new flag, because, an homage, and that's great. But I don't know. I've always looked at that one and thought it was just odd. Like, I like what they did with the Sorry. Normally I would just mute that, but it happened mid talking. I'm sorry, Rob. Enjoy editing. Yeah. So, oh man, where was I? Words are hard. Thoughts are difficult. Yeah. So I like what they did with the text in the 1967 logo.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that they used from 70s onward is just, it's there's just not much going on.
Right.
Like, and there were a couple redesigns ish where they made them slightly different colors, but I wouldn't really count that as a major redesign.
No.
And so, yeah, I've always been a fan of the really old one, and I'm pretty excited about this one. Although the one thing I'll say is they have some symbolism in there.
Yeah.
I think there's 17 points in one section of the Leaf, which is, the 1917 when the team started.
Yeah.
And it's a 31 point Leaf, which is supposed to be a reference to when they moved to the Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yes.
And Conn Smythe took over. Conn Smythe of Conn Smythe Trophy fame.
Yeah.
Who was, I think he's widely recognized as an architect of the league.
Yeah, for sure.
But my one problem is that one section of the Leaf has 13 points.
Mm-hmm.
And that is specifically a reference to the number of Stanley Cups they've won.
Right.
And I mean, this may be a hopeless optimist talking, but what happens when by sheer mathematical fluke alone, the Leafs win another Stanley Cup?
Yeah. Yeah.
Although that said, that's exactly it. I think that would be just a really cool thing to do. Because, I mean, you can do leaf veins, like anatomically speaking, leaf veins, you can do fractally, like they're fractal-ish at least.
Yep.
So as time drifts onwards towards infinity and the end of the National Hockey League, I could see every time you win a cup, you just add a little, flick to the logo.
Yep.
And that could potentially be a really cool thing to do if that's their plan, because otherwise it's just, well, when we made this Leaf, we had this many cups, and we don't really see a point in changing it, because I could absolutely see that being something that the Leafs of old would do anyway.
Yeah, that seems kind of silly, but yeah, they definitely could do that. I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't know. It just strikes me as, but the 13 points are lucky. Why would we change it? And it would just wreck the symbolism.
If you look, I mean, it's not the leaf itself and the veins on the leaf are not. I mean, I guess the leaf itself is, but it's not. Now I can't even remember the word. It's not. It's not symmetrical is the word I'm looking for. So there's room already. There's a couple of glaring spots where a new vein would make sense to go. I can see at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So it's not.
I could see that.
It's not without the possibility of adding. Although I'm pretty sure this, like, nature tends to work in mathematical ways, and the 3 top, like where the 13 Stanley Cup veins are, they're all not only they're all prime numbers, but they're all numbers on the Fibonacci sequence. And nature tends to behave in ways that things come in prime numbers and come in Fibonacci numbers. So that being said, I think that is, if that was intentional, which I'm sure it was not, unless there's like Simpsons writers on the Maple Leafs logo design team. I don't think that was considered, but I think it's interesting that they did keep that way. And on that note, I'm reading the link I'm going to put in here is from Toronto Star. I don't even know if I can call it the Toronto Star because they just call it the Star, which is very confusing.
Well, it's if you're in the GTA and you say the Star, people know what you're talking about.
Right, but people in the GTA are crazy because they think if you say the 6 that people are going to know what you're talking about, and I have no idea.
Oh, well, it depends on how much Drake you listen to.
It's true. I know. But this article about the Leafs logo from the Star talks about how it's laden with symbolism and not reality. And apparently they talked to botanists. That's how serious Leafs fans are. And the botanist said this is not any variety of maple leaf that they're familiar with. And
is that how or is that a result of the Leafs fans or the Toronto Star, the Toronto Star sports reporters specifically really reaching for a story?
I think both. I think they're a little disappointed. At least that's the way this reads. Like it doesn't appear to follow closely to any obvious tree biology. And like they went out and this would take some serious research. You'd have to go like the guy's going into a guy who specializes in the study of maple trees, not even in Toronto, but at the University of Vermont, saying that it looks more like a sycamore maple leaf. Uh, like they did a lot of work and a lot of reporting to find this information, and they talked to the person who's in charge of or who is in charge of marketing and communications with Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment, and they said they did not consult an arborist. Like they put enough research into this that they were able to fully get to the bottom of this stupid story and figure it all out. But it could just be reaching very easily.
So I am actually looking at the Wikipedia article on maple leaf, and it is pretty close to a sycamore maple leaf.
Good to know.
Yeah. So that's a thing that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, it's also named after. It's in an interesting situation in which it's named after a regiment, the regiment being named after a symbol of Canada.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
It doesn't have to look like an actual leaf, really.
I don't think so, but
Yeah.
you know.
But you would be wrong, according to many Leafs fans, I would think.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's really okay.
Yeah. Because it's not like Maple Leafs fans have ever been wrong about anything.
No, that has never happened.
No. Joe from Burlington is not calling or was not calling for the Kessel trade when he was at the height of his career. So that's good.
I think 3 people will get that reference, but I'm not
That's
one of them.
okay. Anybody that listens to Steve Dangle religiously will get that one.
Yes. So I have one more small piece of follow-up here, and it's not so much follow-up. It's just we talked about, or you brought up the Rick Mercer report and encouraged me to watch the video on the Energy East pipeline.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Interestingly, it was his rant about the Energy East pipeline, right?
Yes.
And so I watched that video, but interestingly, that video is not currently on his YouTube channel, but I found it through some other person. And it was certainly interesting. And I feel like when I searched Energy East, Rick Mercer rant, there was also a guy, again, from the Toronto Star's YouTube channel, talking about making points very similar to what I made. Like, this shouldn't be the discussion. The discussion should be about energy, and it shouldn't be about Alberta versus Canada. It should be about Canada and the world. But that being said, I subscribed to the Rick Mercer Report YouTube channel, and I watched some of the videos, and so I'll keep watching, because I've been saying for years that I wish I watched more of what he did. I've enjoyed watching him ever since back in 22 Minutes days, and so yeah, I like his rants, and I like all the other skits they do for the show.
The other skits they do, well, I mean, my favorite parts of the show are probably the rant, which is unsurprising because they actually have, they've made books out of his rants.
Yeah.
But there is rants and the skits he does, which are great.
Yeah.
The other stuff, it's interesting. Don't get me wrong, it's interesting and I like watching it, but I could leave that behind. Most of the interviews he does.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, when they're played for humor and the person who is kind of going along for the ride is along for the ride, then it's fun. But yeah, it's not like something you have to see.
Yep. I like it a whole lot more than 22 minutes anyway.
The current 22 minutes or when he was on it?
We'll say current 22 minutes.
Okay.
He was always my favorite part of 22 minutes. And then
Yeah.
one episode they had Colin Mockery on, and I was just elated with that. I really
Yes.
like Colin Mockery. Or maybe it was a few episodes. Details.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never really been a huge fan of 22 minutes. I liked Air Farce a lot more.
Yeah, I definitely liked. I like both, and they were right after the other, so I always watched them together.
Yeah, as good Canadian kids,
Yes, of
that's
course.
what you do.
It literally is what you do. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
But
but
yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad you're subscribed.
yeah. I'm now subscribed to something like 110 YouTube channels, and it's a little overwhelming at times, but I get through
Well,
it.
when you're a professional social media person
You have to.
or internety person,
Yep.
whatever it is that you do, Rob.
That's what we call ourselves, professional internety people.
Yeah. I'm an internet guy. I do internet things.
It's true. So yeah, that's it for follow up this week. There's a few things we want to talk about. The one that's first here that we'll start with. I don't know if we actually talked about on the show how how my bike was stolen last fall. It was actually the day we noticed it, like a day or two after my last contract ended in October. And
Oh man, that is
yeah,
just a kick in the teeth.
it really was. And I've been
Hey,
riding my
you
bike
don't have
every
your
day.
job, and now you don't have your bike. So all the fun in the world that you were having gone.
Yeah. And
Because how could you ever have fun without a bicycle? I mean, it just doesn't seem rational.
yeah, exactly.
Do people
And
have fun without bikes?
I don't
I
think
wouldn't
so.
know.
But so I wanted to talk a bit about your experience buying a bike, because I'm now faced with the fact that I got like insurance covered the bike, and so I have enough money to get a new bike now. And but I want it to be something similar to this very special bike that I had gotten used, that my dad put a bunch of research into. And so I'm faced with either finding a brand new bike that's probably going to be slightly worse than the one I had, or spending a couple good weeks or a couple months even researching. So what should I put into getting a new bike, in your opinion, having done that?
Like financially or
No, like research wise, and what should I be looking for?
oh, okay. Honestly, when I bought mine, I was like I just perused the interwebs a mite and then went, this is all just overwhelming. I don't even know what I want looking at all the options here. And I had specifically found the Trek website, but all the websites I found had, I mean, sort of along the same lines of classifications. And I just,
Right.
looking at all of them and going, I don't even know. But the Trek website directed me to Ideal Bike in Belleville. And so I went and talked to that guy, Ed, great guy.
Mhm.
They've actually moved now, and I don't know where their store is anymore, but I don't think I could easily walk to it, which is sad.
I mean, it'd be many hours of walking.
Well, right now, yes, but I couldn't get
Yes.
there from my old home, is what I mean. Thanks, Rob. Um, but so I talked to him for a little bit, and he gave me some ideas for what I wanted to look into. And then I took that information and went home and said, well, I mean, there's this that I want. And so, like, he had directed me towards the broad style of bike that I wanted. And basically, what happened is I went home and upsold myself and went with like the nicest bike in that class of bikes in the hybrid class.
Right.
So, what I really wanted was a bike that could feasibly replace a car,
Yeah.
because I knew that I was going to move somewhere and I probably wouldn't have money for a car. So I needed a nice bike that could, reliably get around in all types of weather and all seasons.
Mhm.
And so that's what I did.
Cool. And so you end up getting, you said the fanciest hybrid trek bike that they had, basically.
Yep. That's basically what I did.
I yeah, I honestly want, and like this is irrational because I'm sure I know it's not the best bike in the world, but if I could get my exact bike again, I think that's the one I would get. Like that's what I want, is just the exact same thing I had, but back.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if that's what you want, you can go for that kind of style again.
Yeah,
The only thing,
yeah, I'm not gonna find the exact same thing.
well, no, but I'm
Yeah.
sure they have something comparable.
Mhm.
Um, the only thing, and this actually, I don't think it would totally make sense given, well, one, the selection at the time, and I mean, my knowledge at the time was just different. But
Sure.
the only thing I kind of wish that my bike had is drop handlebars,
Yeah.
because they are so handy when you're hitting a headwind.
Right.
And I basically just try and simulate having drop handlebars
Yeah.
when I'm in a
Yeah.
big headwind, and that I just kind of tuck down as much as possible and keep cycling.
Mhm.
You
I
know it's really bad when you're going along the river here and just have a huge face of wind in front of you, and you're in first gear, like the lowest gear you can have,
right.
just kind
Yeah.
of pedaling along going, "Oh my god."
Yeah. I the things that or the main thing I loved about my bike is that it was just so light. My inertia on it was next to nothing.
Oh yeah, like, and that's, I have a heavier bike because I mean part of that was me going and saying, I don't ever think I would bike more than 50 kilometers in a sitting.
Right.
Like, I just don't see that happening. And that was the advice given to me. Said, you could maybe do, or you could probably do about 50K in this, and then you're not going to want to ride anymore.
Okay.
And lo and behold, at about, the 40, 50K mark in the saddle, my lower back just starts really killing me. So,
Okay. Hmm.
but yeah, the more, like, for lack of a better word, performance bikes will be pretty light nowadays.
Yeah.
What's your budget, out of curiosity?
Somewhere around $1,000.
Okay. You can get a solid either entry level or step up from entry level bike for that much.
Yeah.
Like, entry level usually runs you about 700-800, and then I think it tends to be, entry level with a carbon fork and a slightly nicer group set for about 1,200.
Right. I really think I part of me wants to get a very nice bike and keep it on the balcony, like have it tiniest possible chance of being stolen again, just because like people target the nicest bike.
Yeah.
But another part of me wants to go all out and go and get a like Ottawa police sticker, or like 5 Ottawa police stickers, and just like stick them on the bike, because that makes it not the least, or not, sorry, not the most likely, because a bike thief generally isn't going to take all the bikes. They're going to take the easiest one to steal. And if your bike has Ottawa police stickers on it, it's not the easiest.
It could
People
be a
don't want to run
deterrent.
that risk. Or like custom design a sticker, get it made that says like, this is part of the Ottawa police bike theft program. Like nobody's going to steal that bike.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know, keep a sticker in the seat tube or something like that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the other thing worth checking out, I don't know how many places do this, but see if there's a rental shop in town that rents actual nice bikes, not just, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But see if they have a sale where they, get rid of their old stock.
Huh.
Because there's a place in Calgary that does that, and they're usually selling their like $1,200 bikes for like $600-700,
Hmm.
which is a solid deal given that they maintain them pretty well because
Yeah, yeah.
they bring it back, they do a maintenance run, and then get it back or get it road ready again.
Mhm. Is that a
But
thing? Like, I don't think that's a thing in Ottawa where you have actual nice bikes. Like, we have those ride sharing programs where you can like grab a bike off the rack, pay a little bit.
oh, like the Bixie
Yeah,
system?
whatever.
Yeah.
There are a few different ones.
Yeah. It's best I can say is it's worth looking into because some bike shops might even do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. No, it's definitely
But
worth looking into.
yeah, that would be my recommendation. Once I have steady employment, I really kind of want to do that here. The
You
other
want to
thing
step up as well.
well, I mean, in the paradigm in which I have money, particularly NDT money, which is good. Um, what I really want to do is get, a Trek Damani 4.0 because that is just a gorgeous, gorgeous machine.
Right.
It has the decoupled seat tube, so it's meant to be a very good endurance bike and very stable, but like you're not going to set any speed records, which I don't think I was going to do anyway.
Right.
But it's meant to you're able to just take it for the whole afternoon and remain comfortable,
Yeah.
which is really realistically probably what I want it for.
Mm. Makes sense. Yeah,
I hope so.
I really should. Like, I want to do it soonish because in my mind, the faster, like the further from spring, the further from like nice weather, the cheaper they're going to be. Even though they might
There
have quote unquote sales in the spring, I don't
there
think it's
are
going to be as
spring
good.
and fall sales, and I think even like convention type stuff, or what do I want to say, like home and garden shows like that but for bikes.
Yeah.
I want to say they have stuff like that there, and you can get bikes and equipment for very good prices.
I always feel like when a place is telling you they have a big sale going on, that's not a good time to buy it.
Touche.
I don't know why. Maybe that's crazy, but it seems like quiet season. That's when you're going to be able to walk into a bike shop, like if it's the middle of winter, and be like, "Hey, I'm looking to buy a bike. Uh, got anything that's affordable?" As opposed to walking into a very busy bike shop in the spring and while they have their big spring bike sale going on. I don't know,
Fair enough. Yeah.
but I'll give it a shot. If nothing is striking me as a great deal, then I'll just wait. But
Yeah.
that's the plan. Start researching, start actually going and at least seeing what they feel like, what they look like now.
Hmm.
Thank you, Nick. That was very helpful.
I hope so.
Uh,
Just tell me that you'll consider drops.
yeah, oh, I want them. I've only heard very good things about them, and I would certainly be willing to like give them a complete shot. As
Mhm.
we talked about before, I really like the handlebars I don't really like them, but I really got used to them. The handlebars that come up at about 45 degrees. Uh,
Bullhorns.
yeah, that I forget if we came up with that word before, but that is a very accurate word.
I don't actually know if that's just me or the proper verbiage, but
Yeah, or that's just exactly what it looks like, so it's perfect. Um,
sure.
but I love those because it's kind of a similar idea to drop handlebars, except you can
The
you
ergonomics
don't
are very similar.
yeah, you don't have to hunch down nearly as much, but you can still get your kind of ergonomic yet aerodynamic shape going on.
Hmm.
I found it useful for like either powering through wind or trying to get going really fast on a straight. But it's
Hmm.
also very useful. It's nice. I don't know what it is exactly, but like when you're holding bike handlebars and they're just your hand. I'm having a hard time describing this, but when your hands are in front of you, like just on regular flat straight handlebars, your hands are parallel to one another, but they're perpendicular to the road. Just regular handlebars. That it's a lot harder to kind of hold on and push against. Whereas when your hands are parallel with the road, like they are in bullhorn or like they're in drop handlebars, it's a lot easier to use your arm strength to power you forward too. And I found that really helpful in like since I had this bike, being able to use my entire body as opposed to just kind of pedaling hard with my legs.
Mm.
I don't know. I think most people when they're biking don't realize that either don't realize you can do that or don't realize they are doing that. But I always like I pull on my handlebars. I pull them towards me when I'm riding and use that to
Oh, yeah.
power myself.
You can do that. Well, it depends on what exactly you're doing, but
Yeah,
it provides an opposing force for really
exactly.
pushing down on the pedals.
Yeah. And so I do that pretty much constantly if I'm trying to go hard or fast at all.
And
This
that
is
makes
all
sense.
innuendo, but that's beyond the point. Yeah, so I like the idea of having that, and I'm going to describe it as your hands being parallel to the road because that's the best way, or at least the handlebars being parallel to the road. And
Well,
yeah,
there's also like I think the actual words for that is proline, supine, and neutral grip,
mm,
because it would refer to pull-ups and such.
okay, right,
So, like neutral grip is what you would have in a drop handlebar or bullhorns.
Mhm.
And I think it's proline that is, what the grip would be, palms facing away from you
Mhm.
in just normal handlebars.
Right. The I've heard those terms used, but it's in relation to feet.
Okay.
Forget which like it refers to the rotation of the foot when you're walking. And I remember I used to supine with my right leg. Maybe I still do a little bit, but yeah, it refers to like the rotation of the joint, and so I guess it refers to any kind of joint,
Oh,
whether it's
okay.
arm or foot. Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's enough bike talk. I
Is there ever enough bike talk?
for now. Next week we'll get right back to it. Why don't we, instead of going to the thing here that's next on the list, why don't we do your weird, wacky roundup?
Weird, wacky roundup. Is
It-
roundup spelled with the W there?
Yes, it's silent though.
Okay. So, City of Calgary is considering goats to manage parks and invasive species. That's really the sum total of the story there.
Hmm. And how hard are they considering this?
This is also published in September of 2015. That's how
Mhm.
that's how far back this story goes for me.
Right.
I don't know if it went anywhere, but I thought that was very Calgary.
Is it though? Maybe cows.
I
Are
don't
goats a
know,
Calgary
like
thing?
just I've noticed the city has a good general approach to things in which, like, if it's legitimately a good idea, they will put it to use, and there's not as much hand wringing or people jumping up saying, "Well, this is a terrible idea. Why would you ever do that?"
Right.
Which I suppose it's more city council that will do progressive things because they've considered doing, or since they started doing bike lanes and trying to expand public transit,
Yeah.
people have been wildly critical of, well, where's the car users bill of rights or something like that. And if you actually look at the spending that the city puts into car infrastructure, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's not
like,
even close.
if you look at the per capita or the per capita car usage and the per capita bike usage, the spending is not at all similar. Like
Right.
it's, I forget what they were saying, but I think someone might have joked that if you were spending on per capita bike infrastructure as much as you spent per capita on car infrastructure, that we would have like bicycling skyways or something equally ridiculous,
That sounds
or just
awesome.
bike lanes on every road, and yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
Obvious hyperbole there, but
Obviously, but it doesn't have to
there's
be.
also there's also like the ring road that they're trying to do for Calgary,
Yeah.
and I think they have 3 of 4 quadrants done,
Yeah.
and the billions upon billions that are being poured into that, and then they spend a few $1,000s on bike lanes, and you're just completely up in arms.
Yeah. The
I also like I like the quote from a friend of mine that, there are about 1,000 to 2,000 lanes of traffic in downtown Calgary, and they removed 4 of them for the bike lane pilot.
Yeah.
So if there's traffic problems, it's probably not due to the bike lanes.
Almost certainly not. Yeah.
Yeah. I should look into how that's going. I don't know if they publicly do data like Ottawa did.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So, did you have any in my weird and wacky roundup? Should I gab about gardening?
Yeah. Gab about gardening by all
No,
means.
I have a new addition. It's
Okay.
a Thai chili pepper plant has
Hmm.
sprung up.
Wait, it sprung up? It sounds like you weren't
Well,
expecting this.
I planted it, but it's
Okay.
finally. I planted the seed, which doesn't, with peppers, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get a plant out of it.
Mhm.
But we have breached ground. We're working on our 4th leaf here, and yeah,
Wow.
should have more delicious peppers soon. I also bought a new pot for my ghost pepper, the Buchalokia, after just an absolute debacle at the Canadian Tire at Marlborough Mall. And we're not talking about that one. That was just
Okay.
I'm going to try my very best to go elsewhere for my needs in the near future.
Sure.
Yeah. But it was really root bound, so hopefully there's room for growth there too now.
Hmm.
Delicious peppers await, Rob.
Now, remind me, how long does it take from, seeing the first sprouts of a pepper plant to actually harvesting a pepper?
Well, if last year was any judge, then never. But I really don't think the peppers like the temperature cycle of Calgary, because it gets pretty cold at night.
Sure.
This is actually one of those jurisdictions where on a summer night your mother will yell and tell you to bring a sweater, and you actually should. It's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, in Belleville during the really hot summer nights, if someone called to you and said, remember to bring a sweater when it was 35 during the day and 22 at night, it's like, no, I'm pretty sure I'll be okay.
Right. Huh.
But yeah, I don't think they like the temperature cycle. For Buchalokia specifically, I think it's 120 days from the first sprout to fruit, but that's in much more ideal growing conditions.
Right. Now, if you wanted to get more serious about this, you could do things like getting a heat lamp or something, right?
Well, if I really wanted to grow them outside, I would probably, invest in heating pads or something like that
Yeah.
to try and keep the soil temperature high, because it's not so much the temperature of the air, it's the temperature of the soil.
Okay.
But that's also a lot to invest. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying currently is I've got them in the south facing window I'm going to try and keep them in the south facing window inside rather than outside on the balcony.
Okay.
It's a west facing balcony, but I don't know what you call it, the little concrete structure is actually opaque. There's no glass or anything, so
Right.
Like they don't get that much more light intensity.
Mm.
Like they get the full spectrum, and that does make a difference sometimes with growth, but it's just, yeah, it doesn't seem to work particularly well.
Mm.
This balcony, anyway. It also gets very windy. That seems to be very hard on them because we're about 20 floors up, I think.
Oh yeah, that'll get windy.
Hmm. Calgary is kind of a windy place, just in
Yes.
general.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so we're trying inside this year. That's what I'm gonna do.
Right. Cool.
And we have good south light because nothing really obstructs you in our location 20 floors up.
Right.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I think so.
Cool. Did you want to continue down this path or do you want to go back to?
Well, we could also talk about food prices because that was actually a serious issue.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Although having bashed 22 minutes earlier, they did have a really good tweet on the matter or something like that saying, Canadians won't get too upset about food prices until the cost of a medium Tim's goes past $2.
That's unfortunately true.
Is it unfortunate?
Yeah,
I
a
think it
little
makes a
bit.
lot of sense. But yeah, the Canadian dollar, it's getting better recently, but it's kind of tanked a little bit.
Yeah,
What with
that's
the price of oil being what it is. And man, people went nuts when cauliflower went to $7 or $8 a head.
yeah. For some people, for some reason, people really like their cauliflower.
Yeah, I read I listened to a story about that. And apparently cauliflower is just very popular right now in the foodie world.
Okay.
Like there's one place that does a roast cauliflower, like they roast it like chicken or something and then do a balsamic drizzle over top of it. And so it comes out, I guess it comes out really nice and like the outside is caramelized and stuff.
Okay.
Um, and I know there are places around here that are doing cauliflower buffalo wing
Yeah, I've heard
sort of
that.
things.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, when I heard that cauliflower was getting so expensive, my honest reaction was, who cares? Like, who actually wants to eat cauliflower?
It's true. It's very bland, and that's I guess why you flavor it with making it buffalo-y or making it roasted with balsamic. Like it, you add
Yeah, I
flavor
mean,
to it,
my
and suddenly it's good.
my honest rationale there was, it's kind of like buried the lead or dropped the lead there. It's kind of like cauliflower and tastes much better. Potatoes, like,
Yeah,
and they're also cheap.
they're very
Why
cheap.
not just eat potatoes if it costs a lot of money?
Yeah, it's true.
Also, well, with food prices being what they are, I've been looking at ways to eat cheaper just in general.
Right.
And that has led to me making a lot of braised red cabbage and stocking up on pierogies.
Hmm.
Pierogies just went on sale at Safeway too. So that was pretty exciting. Especially the Chimo brand stuff. Man, I got used to no name pierogies and I was pretty happy with those. But Chimo, oh, like I grabbed the Ukrainian style roasted garlic pierogies and the bacon and Romano cheese pierogies.
Oh wow.
Ooh, they do some good stuff with pierogies. And like, you can buy right now you can buy a kilo of them for $2. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah. Although it's funny because, looking at ways of eating efficiently,
Mhm.
cost wise,
Yep.
I wound up finding a bunch of Eastern Europe stuff, but there's also like one thing I really like making is black bean soup, which is a Central American thing
Right.
where food or prices for meat also tend to be much higher than average income would allow. So it's interesting how you can get into a variety of international cuisines when you're like,
Right.
huh, food's really expensive.
It is expensive.
I should eat more pulses and potatoes and cabbage.
Now, you wrote here food prices slash coffee. Was that in relation to the Tim Hortons thing, or is that related
Yeah,
to
that
food
was
prices?
specifically to jog my memory. Although coffee prices are going up, and it seems the reason is the British. The
As
British
always.
have developed a taste for coffee because they finally realized that coffee is clearly superior to tea, and yeah, prices are going up. I guess the last harvest wasn't great.
Right. The whole
Yeah.
global warming thing.
Uh, well, very difficult to attribute one particular weather system to global warming, as we've discussed, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ish, sort of, kind of.
The overall trend.
Yes. The coffee harvest will suffer as a result of global warming, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think that's my wacky roundup.
Fair enough. Uh, Now you have this Nipigon Bridge in the notes. Do you want to talk about that first? I don't know that I have much to say, but I could certainly add to a discussion if you have something you wanted to
I
say
just
about
thought
it.
it was interesting because, like, East meets West. The East doesn't
Yeah,
meet the West edition. Because for a good few days, you couldn't actually drive through Canada from one of us to the other.
it's true.
You'd,
Yeah,
you'd get stuck in Northern Ontario because, like the South Park bit says, you have to follow the only road
right.
from east to west.
Hmm.
Because I mean, I think someone said, why aren't there two roads going through there? It's like, do you know what's there? It's it's not a whole lot of anything, really.
Right. Yeah,
It,
I don't actually know what's there because I've only flown it, but I imagine it's a lot of mountains and trees and not
some
many
mountains.
people.
I don't know that they're quite as impressive as
Not
the Rocky Mountains, but
not mountains, but like hilly
no,
lands.
they're actual mountains up there, I guess. They're much smaller, but
Right.
I think there are mountains in Superior National Park
Hmm.
or something like that.
All the mountains in eastern Canada are not really mountains, I would say. Maybe there might be a couple exceptions, but
Well,
really,
listen to the mountain snob we got over here.
you were in Banff, you've seen a mountain.
It's true, I have. They're very pretty. I can see
Yeah,
them right now. I'm looking to my left,
there you go.
and they're there.
Hmm.
The Rockies.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, I think we're gonna start seeing. I don't know if it's just gonna be, you know, I don't know if it's just gonna be North America or if we're gonna see all over the world, but I keep hearing about how all the bridges are in disrepair and in need of
Oh
massive
yeah,
amounts of
we're
repairs.
facing an infrastructure crisis,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons I was really excited about Trudeau's promise to inject a bunch of money into stimulus spending because, oh my God, we need to fix our infrastructure, and labor costs are about as low as they're going to get
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future.
Hmm.
So I think that would be a great idea. Also, in a news story I found out about, they are working on the reason for the failure at Surface Science Western,
Huh.
which is, well, I spent some time at Surface Science.
Yeah.
It was
Cool.
interesting. My old supervisor basically runs the place.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at
So,
some point you could be that guy in theory.
no,
In theory.
I will not be that guy.
You could be the guy before that guy that goes out to the things, the crumbling infrastructure and checks it.
I would be the guy that says, hey, this is going to be a problem
Yeah.
or is already a problem.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know how much NDT they do on bridges. I would hope it's some.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah. Incidentally, have we talked about how I hate suspension bridges?
No.
You might have heard laughing from the other room because, as nice as Kaya is, she's terrible.
Of course.
Hello, staff. Be nice to me.
I take it you heard that bit.
I didn't hear I heard that she said something, but I did not hear what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm supposed to be nice to her. Was the
Mhm.
gist of that? Wait, what was I talking about? I need more coffee.
Suspension bridges.
Oh yeah, they're just ugh.
What about
Basically,
them?
all the structural integrity comes from cables and big heavy things on either side or anchors, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, ugh.
What makes that
I don't know. Just
so
you're
bad?
completely suspended by cables. I would far rather be supported by the Earth through direct vectors, like up down vectors, normal vectors,
I guess, yeah.
rather than being
Literally,
suspended. I just
literally normal vectors.
I fully yeah. That's why I said normal vectors.
And it was
Um,
beautiful.
yeah, thank you. Uh, Google the term normal vector for an explanation there. But like it's one of those irrational things where I completely understand that they've engineered it so that it's okay,
Yeah,
but I still don't like it.
that's fine.
Similar sort of thing is walking on glass. I fully realize that there have been many calculations going into it, making sure that I am safe walking on that glass, but I still don't like doing it.
Right. I I assume you've been at the top of the CN Tower.
No, never.
Oh wow. I did that once and experienced that. They have the glass floor area and it's like a foot thick or something, but
I've heard it sounds terrifying.
I looked out over it, but I don't think I actually stepped on it. I might have
It's
tried to kill someone who tried to push me onto it.
it's one of those things where like monkey brain just kicks in and goes,
Yeah.
but glass goes in windows. Windows break easily.
Yeah. I I might be misremembering a story that I heard a while ago, but I feel like at some point the CN Tower, like the glass cracked or something.
Oh, they have a pedestrian bridge in China, I think, and the or China or Britain. Anyway, the it actually cracked and is now just it looks like it's in shambles, but it's still structurally sound.
Is it though? Ah,
So they say.
there's apparently it was the Willis Tower. That
Okay.
is that the one that's in Chicago, the one that used to be the oh my gosh, these even these pictures are freaking terrifying. Yeah, it was
Oh
the
my
one that
god.
used to be the tallest building in North America, I think. The
Okay.
Sears Tower, but now it's the Willis Tower. Anyways, that I'll put the article in there from the Daily Mail in the UK, but there's just a guy, it's the 103rd story, just like he's hanging out a building. It doesn't look fun. It looks terrifying. Oh man. And then there's pictures of people still like they replaced the glass. There's pictures of people still out there. I just would not do that. Because when
Hmm.
glass can crack, yes, and then it can be fully intact and it's fine and you continue about your day and you replace the glass. But glass can also fail catastrophically and you would just plummet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get the same feeling every time I'm in a tall building, to be honest. I'm just like, this could fail catastrophically. But with glass, it's so much more likely.
Damn civilization with its super tall buildings.
Yeah.
Weird.
I don't like it.
Good. Solid.
Somewhat solid. Not super
Solid, but with the possibility of catastrophic failure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. I say let's wrap it up with one last thing, but this thing is something that could lead into a bit of a discussion. So I won't say
Cool.
wrap it up soon.
Let's just make it an even 3-hour podcast.
Perfect. I was
Solid.
told actually before we started that I only had 3 hours and I had to be done by 2
Ooh.
here. And so yeah, we can go 3 hours, but I cannot go a minute longer.
Okay. We can do that.
Yep. So we talked at the beginning of this episode about how I was not working and how I will now be working come February 17th. And I was lucky enough to be able to take advantage of the employment insurance program that Canada offers as it is wont to do, as I'm very thankful for it doing. because the whole reason it's there as a kind of social safety net is to take the pressure off of people needing to make money while they're not working at 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
And so when I first, like, immediately when my job ended, I signed up, and it seemed like it wasn't that much money. Like, it was kind of, supplementary, and it was very encouraging in that, like, there's a pilot program that I was apparently participating in, although I don't know exactly how the logistics of it work, where you can actually even make, like, if you make some money, you can actually, like, they'll take that into consideration, but they won't cut you off from the program completely. So, like, you can get some work. And it makes it for a year after I lost my job, I had the opportunity to make a little bit every month, enough to, like, cover bills and at least allow me to keep some of the savings that I had worked up. Like, I'd saved quite a bit of money working for the government for the almost a year that I did, but you don't really want to spend a few months unemployed and just completely blow that. And so it was nice to have that basically as a safety net. And it made me, like, I thought when I was growing up, I was like, oh, employment insurance, that's for really, like, people that just don't want to work, but they're, like, trying to find a job and struggling, and they're just lazy and not working very hard. But it's a really, really helpful program.
Yeah.
And I've used it a couple times now. Like, there was a point about a year and a half ago where I was on it for something like 3 weeks. And it's a good program because it means that you don't have to, if you lose a good job that you had, you don't have to immediately settle for, working at McDonald's to make ends meet. Because if you're working full-time at McDonald's to make ends meet, you can't go and look for a job that actually uses, for instance, your degree or any experience that you gained, because those processes take a lot longer. And so having the ability to use the employment insurance program as a bridge to connect the two contracts that I was on is just, like, it saved me. It saved me from having to find any work, and let me find work that, like, actually will enable me to go on living a normal, somewhere probably slightly below middle class life, because the middle class is no longer a thing. But yeah, if there's anyone who's against it, I would cite my experience as, like, a massive reason in favor of keeping programs like that around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree. I know there are abuses, but I don't know. I think all told, you're going to do more good than you will harm. Or that's my honest assessment.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, thinking about that in employment insurance, and its relation to, not only helping people make ends meet, but helping people find work that they find fulfilling, led me to kind of think again about basic income, which is something that I've talked about a lot, and was actually in the news in Canada very recently, along with other countries putting up referendums, like in Switzerland, or actually I think Finland actually passed whatever proposal they had to do basic income, and so they're going to actually try it. It came into the news in Canada again. I don't know if you heard anything about this, but
I did not hear about this, but I glanced at the article you linked to.
So the Globe and Mail reported on this. Now that we have, with the Liberal government, we have a new minister. It's called the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. And this person has apparently done a bunch of research, actually published work about the possibility of basic income, and specifically trying to replace government programs with a a payment or a process that's much more just like you qualify, here's money. And
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see something that's automatic like that because it removes the need for a lot of social programs that would be there otherwise.
Mhm.
And I could see maybe people with special needs having a higher income or like still have services to supplement the guaranteed minimum income.
Right.
But I still want to do a full episode on this with Matt and Mike potentially,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
just because I think there could be. We were having like a fairly spirited discussion on the Slack about it.
We were.
And so I feel like it would be worth discussing. We just have to be able to get everyone to sit down at the same time,
Yes.
which is tricky because one of them's in Australia.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's something that I'm looking forward to doing. Yeah, this is it. It's more of an introduction. It's more just like, hey, the government in Canada is actually talking, like not only just thinking about it, but actually talking about it. And this is like, sure.
I'm so excited about that.
Mhm.
Like there's so much potential for good to be done. And I feel like it's too much to hope, but
Yeah.
hey, it's a majority parliament. They can do whatever they want.
Hmm.
See, that'll be the campaign issue going into 2019. Market.
Yeah. We're talking, as people get a little bit older and start getting a little more financially stable, family talk comes up and having kids and starting, more adult life. I was having this discussion with Julia a couple days ago, talking about having to save up, a college fund and all kinds of stuff for a child when they turn 18. And I was just thinking, in 18 or 19 years, how different could Canada be? Like if we had a situation similar to a lot of Scandinavian countries and France, where you pay tax, but then college is essentially, or university is essentially free. You could have programs like basic income, like who knows what could be different in that case. And I would love for my child to grow up in a world where not things are just taken care of for you, but where the basic necessity to allow you to live and allow you to learn and become educated is just taken care of for you, where you have the ability to better yourself and it's just automatic.
Yeah. It would be great to just know that your kid would be okay
Mhm.
for their entire lives.
Yeah.
Like you just don't have to worry about them falling through the cracks. And what a world it could be.
Yeah. If you have to, or if you haven't heard anything about basic income, you should go research it. There's recently, as these projects and pilots have been talked about and are starting to be implemented around the world, there's a lot of news about it. So there's a lot to read and learn about. It's very interesting because what they're talking about right now as actual policies to put in place isn't necessarily, here's $20,000 or $30,000 for every person every year. It's more like bundling together social programs into one thing where, like, when you have a child, you just get some X amount of money and there's no more, do you know if the Liberal government's still going to call it the Economic Action Plan? Because I hate that name so much for the budget. But they have that child care payment assistance, whatever program.
Yeah, what's that called?
Yeah,
Something child policy?
Yeah.
We're child left behind.
No, that's in the States.
No.
I want to say it's like the child care supplement or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. But it would be a lot more bundling together. Like when you have a child, you just get X amount of money. And there's even even in this article from the Globe Mail, which I recommend you go and read if you're more interested in this, but even a conservative MP is saying that she'd like the finance committee to study this. And
I saw that. Like Lisa Raitt
yeah,
was saying that we should look into it. I'm like, oh my God. Like the conservatives are endorsing like a study of this? Ah.
yeah. And the cynical part of me hopes that it's not just something that the next news cycle they'll go, oh, the Liberal government's not even looking at this. We're really interested in looking at it and just using it as like a political pawn against them. But yeah,
Imagine you could get all the parties to agree on it and then
Yeah.
it's just guaranteed to happen. That would be great.
Yeah, it really would be. Yeah. So they're trying to, I think things are moving slowly in that direction. And it obviously, giving every person money with no strings, no nothing, isn't going to solve every problem. And that's what this article ends with. But I don't think the goal of anything should be to make the world perfect.
I was going to say, no, it's not going to solve every single problem with that problem that's out there, but it solves a fair few and it would make the world a better place, in my opinion.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the goal isn't perfection. The goal is better. And this is much better than having people who are in your neighborhood, in your community, in your province, in your city, in your country, who are suffering and whose lives could be improved through this program.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, in Alberta, like oil prices have just tanked, and there are a lot of people, like the suicide rate has spiked.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could just make sure that those people would be okay.
Yeah.
Like it would go a long way towards everything.
Yeah. And that really is what it is. Because if people felt like at least for me, like obviously depression is a very serious and totally separate issue. But if you have someone who feels like losing their job or losing money in the oil industry is a reason to give up on life, like there's no reason to even continue living, that's something that's so easily avoidable, because your job shouldn't be what you put your entire life stock into. It should be a thing that helps you feel productive and helps you contribute to society, but it shouldn't be something that if you lose it, that life isn't worth living. That seems crazy to me. Like that seems the system, the fact that is a system that exists currently is the part that's crazy to me. Like nobody should have to feel that way.
Agreed.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep looking at this. Maybe I'll go up to Parliament and lobby them to look even further into it, give them some resources to look at.
Maybe I'll pull some strings and get the Alberta Liberals to elect a leader that is big on basic income.
Yes, please.
Or maybe I'll just run myself. That could work too.
Can you imagine? It would be so fun to be a politician running on the policy of just basic income.
Yeah, be that one policy guy.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to get a lot of voters on board with that. If you had a bunch of citizens who, are like they're totally disenfranchised by the system, or they've been kind of chewed up and spat out by the system, to get people like, oh, I don't really vote because I don't really feel like government can help me. And then there's a candidate comes along who's just like, let me help you.
Yeah. Would help with voter engagement, I think.
Yeah. I'd have to assume.
Yeah. So is that it for this week?
I think that's it for this week.
Alrighty.
I feel like that was a good discussion, though.
Solid. Where can they find us, Rob?
They can find us at unwindmedia.com/EMW for East Meets West. And on Twitter, we're _EMWFM. And yeah, go listen to the show. If you like the show and it's the first time you've listened, go ahead and subscribe. We're on iTunes, and or just RSS if you don't have an iPhone, which is fine because not everyone does, and not everyone likes iPhones. And this got out of hand. I went too far down a rabbit hole. I'm stuck in this cadence, and please help me.
That's cool, Rob. Like, what is this show if not a place in which we go down rabbit holes?
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. Thanks for talking to me again this week. I enjoy it as always.
Glad to have talked to you, Rob.
All right. See ya.
Toodaloo.